Hi, my name's Tim Reed, real estate agent in the Calgary area, and here we are back again for our January market update for Calgary in 2024. And we're going to go over some different things today, showing you which property types are selling quicker, which are selling slower. The condo market, very interesting things going on there in the Calgary marketplace over the last month of January here in the first month of 2024, comparing year over year trends. And we're going to go over a couple of tips at the end to discuss other ways how you can get properties that aren't necessarily on the open market on MLS where there's such fierce competition right now. Make sure you stay to the end to hear about those tips for buyers in this market in Calgary. So we're going to get into the stats. I'm going to share my screen. So here we see the summary of what's going on in Calgary right now. We've got a residential average detached. So residential total price, that's all property types, has gone up 10% year over year, 572,300. That's the average. And it's gone up significantly since the comparison to 2023. Detached price up 12.6% year over year to over $700,000. So that's starting to get expensive for Calgarians. But when you look at a lot of other places in Canada, that still looks cheap. I know for the locals here, $700,000. Oh my gosh, for a detached home, that's starting to become affordability challenge for some families. But when you look at the new homes that are being built in Calgary, they're in the $800,000, $900,000 range. We've got a very interesting dynamic of new homes versus resale homes in the new communities of Calgary versus older communities. We'll go over a couple of points on that here in a little bit. And semi-detached, over $600,000 now, 625 the average, 11.3% year over year growth in that sector. Half duplexes, no condo fees, hot commodity in Calgary right now. There's lots of competition on these and not very many of them for sale. So, as it says in this paragraph, I'm not going to go through all of that, but the two main points are sales have increased along with inventory. So, we've got a lot more properties on the market, but sales have caught up to it equal. So it hasn't changed the supply and demand deficit. We've got way more buyers than we have properties available on the open market here in the MLS system. And that is creating competition on the private market as well. And we'll go over that a little bit later in the video. So row houses, they may have condo fees, they may not, depends on the property, depends on the area, but that's almost a 20% price gain. So these properties used to be able to be purchased regardless of condition. They're a little bit older, a little bit run down, might need some work. Were great flip properties and they don't have condo fees in some cases. So that helps people's affordability because you look at your mortgage qualification and those condo fees count towards your qualification. So we've got 19% price growth here. That's huge. So this is a major category that's increased significantly, price gains, the highest gain actually year over year when you look at each property type. And here's the other really interesting thing is condos. So your average price of a condominium in Calgary, of which there are many, and they're always the quickest to crash when things correct. A real estate's a cycle, goes from the top to the bottom in every city on the planet. And in Calgary, the condo market has been down and been absorbing slowly ever since 2014, the last top of the Calgary market through till 2020, 2021. So it's seen almost a 20% gain as well, 18.7% year over year. Prices are going up. The average price over 300,000. You used to be able to get many condominiums, under the $300,000 mark in mid 200s, low 200s, a variety of newer and older buildings, different condition, different, building ages and things of this nature. They are selling very quickly. And the reason behind that, in my opinion, the major driving force is people are moving to Calgary, they're moving to Alberta, they're coming here for the opportunity, they're coming here for lower costs. And that's where I say the $700,000 home, that still looks cheap to many people moving from other centers of Southern Ontario and the interior, the lower mainland in BC. That homes there still average over $1 million or even higher than that. So to be able to look at 500 to $800,000 homes, we have lots of options here in Calgary. So that is affordable for those families coming here, moving from elsewhere. And those that aren't looking at buying a single family house right away, or they're maybe unfamiliar with Calgary, they'll buy a condo, live in that for a little while, and decide where they want to move and take their time looking to pick out the house that they're going to buy next. So that's a function of what's going on price wise. New listings increased huge amount, 15% year over year. There's lots more properties that went on the market, but the inventory total went down by 12.3%. So you've got more listings, but just as many sales to catch up with it. Sales up 38% almost year over year, January to now. So it shows strong growth in the market. That growth trend is looking like it looks as if it's going to continue based on the fundamentals, based on the migration to Calgary area and Southern Alberta. And months of supply, it's down. We've got 36% down the inventory metric since January of 2023. So that is a significant drop in months of supply, which is constraining the inventory, making the Calgary market more competitive. So I want to touch on this point here on row houses. This sort of illustrates what we see in the pricing is that 92% of the properties that were listed absorbed. So the new listings ratio remained unexpectedly high, 92%. New properties came on, 92% of them sold. So that is really tightening that inventory and creating competition on those properties where we wouldn't have normally seen that in a more balanced market. And your semi-detached price increase, again, that's also extreme since the lowest level inventory since we've seen since back in 2020 of semi-detached homes. And detached, of course, the story, that's what everybody wants. It's the hot commodity. Very few of them are being sold. And people are stuck in their homes because the interest rates have increased. They know prices have increased as well. So to be able to trade up in the single family market right now is difficult. And you're also looking at competition. So if you were to sell your single family home, how do you find the next home and have enough time to do so? If you're thinking about selling, we can walk you through those best practices because you're going to get top dollar for your house. But you're also going to be competing now in a tough buyer's market. So you have to plan that out accordingly. We can walk you through the steps and best practices of what we can help you navigate that process to make sure that you don't wind up homeless with no house and have to rent again, or be forced to make a quick decision that your family's not comfortable with to find that second home, and you don't want to have to settle. So we also have a guarantee program that protects you when you buy a house from us, that makes sure that you love that house, otherwise we'll buy it back. So if you want more information about that, contact us at the number below this video. We'd be happy to answer any questions about that. So I love going over the map here. So in the city center core areas of Calgary, we've got an average price of $590. That's up 5% year over year. Not a huge change there. Over in the southwest, we've got strong gains there of almost 11%, 10.5% year over year into the 686 range. So that's reflecting of that Calgary average of 700,000, where the southwest is our highest priced, most luxurious area. Not to say there aren't luxurious homes and beautiful houses other places in Calgary, but this is sort of the highest density of those communities that have more estate homes. They tend to be a little bit larger, triple car garages, things of this nature in that southwest quadrant of Calgary. Now, northwest, again, strong gains. I happen to live in northwest Calgary, so maybe I'm a little biased here. However, the story here is that those prices are trending up because they're larger, older homes with mature trees and big, beautiful backyards, lots of amenities, good schools, and it was a little bit underrated for a while because those are older homes built in the 80s, and there was lots of newer homes around the areas of Calgary, also in the north here, north quadrant, lots of new homes being built there, like Sage Hills, Skyview, places like this, Cornerstone over here in the northeast. Lots of new homes to compete with. So these older homes that need a bunch of renovations, your standard family doesn't want to undertake that. They're not an investor like me where they see the potential. They just see that it's old and dated and it wasn't really their style. But people moving from other parts of Calgary and also people in Calgary having to compete, they're now adjusting their criteria and looking in those areas where there are those bigger older homes that need renovations and say, well, look, maybe I can buy this house here and upgrade it over time, or I'm willing to do the renovation now. And the renovation companies here in Calgary are busy to beat the band because of the market being busy, lots of flipping going on, lots of investors renovating properties, making them nice, clean, and modern and reselling them. But there's also families buying those houses too. And maybe they won't even do the renovations for a couple of years, but they want that bigger house with the bedrooms, with the double garage, with the big yard, close to the good schools, and in a mature area that's got nice, beautiful trees, in comparison to looking at other areas of Calgary. So that's the story in the Northwest. North Calgary seeing strong gains as well, 11% here. And these are the newer communities in the North are going to be part and parcel to that, which is why they're a little bit cheaper because you have other properties types as well, not just single family homes. These are averages for these areas. And you're also going to see townhouses, condos, and row houses here in these newer communities as well. Northeast, older homes, smaller homes, they're always going to be a bit of a lower average. Also, lots of townhouses. There's condominiums in there as well. But still saw a very strong gain year over year, 17%. That homes in that area used to hover around the $400,000 mark. So we've seen almost $100,000 appreciation on average in that region. Also a very busy region of Calgary for flipping, for buy, fix, and holds, for rental property, amazing rental area, very strong tenant population there, lots of renters and lots of owners as well. And families sort of gravitate towards that area of town because it's got leisure centers, lots of shopping, it's close to the airport, it's got multiple malls, you've got your Costco's and every grocery store you can pick. Also lots of ethnic specialty grocery stores that are in the Northeast that cater to certain communities where they can get the types of foods that they get back home from other places, which is great. And they're highly densified in there in that Northeast area. So very popular place for people to move and affordable. You look at the chart here, other than the Southeast, which that gap is closing here, look at the price difference here, 25%, almost 26%. The Southeast of Calgary, which is one of the older neighborhoods, which is highly more dominated by renters in that central Southeast area, the Southeast corridor, I call it, where you've got communities that some might say are a little bit rougher in Calgary, a little bit more, prone to crime and things like this. You can look at the statistics, certainly, that a little bit more rougher tenant profile and things of that nature. 26% price increase. That's because people are buying those houses to live in them. That's number one. Number two, people that have had rentals for a long time have seen such price gains in their properties, they're starting to sell them as is so that other landlords can purchase them or renovators can purchase them, and even just families looking for that lower cost house, again, that's needing some work, it's got some repairs that are required, but they're happy to take that because the price difference between this region and the region to the north, the Northeast, it's that gap is stretching out to almost 100 grand. That's significant. And there's, of course, all property types in there. You got townhouses, apartment buildings, you've got commercial real estate here along 17th Avenue Southeast. So huge price increases there because you're seeing landlords sell those properties and they are lower cost homes. So again, people moving to Calgary, they're snapping those up and taking them as is, where normally that rental condition, older home phenomenon, similar to what I was talking about in the Northwest, you're seeing that really drive up demand in those areas, and people are settling in there because they have a lower cost basis on average for properties in that quadrant. And then down to the newer south, 9% increase. Modest gains there, 553, lots of new homes, lots of townhouses and condos and half duplexes in those areas here. So lower price gains there, but still very strong sales in those communities as well. Auburn Bay, there's lake communities down in the southwest here, the deeper south, and southeast quadrant about the same. And there's new communities growing out that way as well, which is keeping those price gains a little bit more modest because that includes other property types where those townhouses or those row houses are going to be a little bit lower cost. However, brand new row house, brand new townhouse could be easily in the fives, in the low fives, in the mid fives, and used to be able to buy a single family house in multiple areas of Calgary for that price point, and that's just no longer the case with everything going up across the board here in Calgary. So I want to go over some of the charts. I'm not going to go into every one of them. I don't want to kill you with charts here. But the thing about the inventory, supply and demand of each property type, it gives you a good picture here. So if we look at the red line here that goes across the middle, this is the 10-year running average of inventory. Okay, inventory or new listings, whichever criteria we're talking about. So here, total new listings, 10-year average, we got a big gap here in 2024. Gap was really significant in 2023 as well. But year to date, we've got a big gap here, total new listings. And we see the sales be the opposite. So 10-year average, sales are significantly higher than average, inventory is lower than average. That increases pricing, causes upward pressure on pricing, and causes that major competition that we're seeing in the marketplace. And you're seeing prices trend up. Of course, they leveled off a little bit, but they're starting to trend back up again because that inventory line is depressed. And if we look at detached homes specifically, here is the 10-year average. Here is the amount of new listings. So we've got a really big gap there between what would normally be happening in a balanced market and what we're seeing today with all the competition. So when you look at condos, you're seeing the inventory line, the average, be a little bit more listings available. However, that gap is closing, right? That gap is closing. The absorption is coming back to where it was. We're seeing activity in the condo market we haven't seen since before the last correction here in Alberta. The 2014 levels of condos, we're seeing sales in those metrics. And this is semi-detached. We see the gap here in new listings versus the 10-year average as well. We definitely have a gap in that category, which is creating that upward pressure on the prices for that property type. And row houses is about the same. That gap's a little bit bigger. It might be a little bit hard to see here, but that gap is a little bit larger for row houses as well. So here towards the end of the market update, I always like to go and highlight some different things, different features around Calgary. If you're new to Calgary, looking to move here, and you want to know where things are, what schools are at, where the shopping centers are, where the amenities are, because different things are important to different people. So I'm going to go over a little bit about the Northwest here today. This is also one of the areas that has great parks. It has Bowness Park is one of the nicest parks in Calgary. You can go skating on the lagoon in the winter. You can go paddleboarding and kayaking around the lagoon, and there's also right along the river, so you can get in and go down your raft off of Bowness Park. There's restaurants there, and it's just a huge big green space that's got amazing, beautiful trees that are over 50 to 80 years old. The trees in that area. And this is one of our largest parks here in Calgary, Nose Hill Park up here in the Northwest. So this is a completely natural area. It's a reserve area where it's been kept wild. You can go hiking there. You can ride your bikes. It's a massive park, and there's lots of parking in different areas all around Nose Hill Park here. That people love to go hiking, love to go biking, really passionate about being outdoors and cross country skiing in the wintertime. That this proximity to this park matters to a lot of people that really like to be in this area. And it's also, now that the ring road's done here, this is the Calgary Ring Road, you can get down to South Calgary so much easier without having to go through the major arteries like Crowchild Trail and things of that nature, and Deerfoot, which is our original highway that's north-south, goes all the way through town. That this takes a lot of the pressure off of this main artery. So a lot of the shipping and trucks and things go now on the ring road, and greatly improving the traffic picture. So your commute from this corner of town all the way to this corner of town is very different than it used to be now that this just opened recently. Fully opened, the full ring road is done now. It's been many, many years in the making. All of us Calgarians are very excited to see it finished. So that's an excellent thing that's been finished recently. And these are some of the newer areas in Calgary. You've got Livingston, Keystone. Over here in the Northwest, you've got Cornerstone, and this is continuing to grow in these areas here. And these communities are being built out still, so there's lots of development going on there. Lots of development over here in Sage Hill, Nolan Hill as well. Lots of new properties being built in there. And here past Sherwood, there's going to be new communities headed that way also. Talking about parks here today, we're going to go down to the south quadrant here, and this is Fish Creek Park, this big white section here. And this is also a national or provincial park, I should say, that has got picnic areas. It's got beautiful hiking. The water runs through there as well. The creek, you can go fishing. And this is a beautiful natural area where people love to go hiking there and go walking there, walk their dogs. They really love this area of town because it's proximity to this park. And that includes a number of these areas like Cannon Meadows, Woodlands, Woodbine, Cedar Brae, Southwood, even Willow Park is getting a little bit further, but it's a minute's drive from here to here, these communities. And then we've got a bit of an industrial area here down south in Calgary and further industrial over to this quadrant here. But you've got lots of new communities down here, such as Cranston, Auburn Bay. Mahogany is a very beautiful area as well. It has a lake. Also, this is Sundance area here. It has a lake as well. And you've got Legacy down here and Pine Creek, and there's 3 new communities planned for this region here. So this southwest area of Calgary is growing. The southeast quadrant of Calgary is growing, and we've got Okotoks south of us. Okotoks is growing as well. So within the next however many years, couple of decades, we could see Calgary and that area grow together. If our population continues to grow at the rate that it is, we're going to have to continue to expand our city borders and be growing towards that area down south here. And I wanted to go over a couple different things, the tips of how you can get properties accepted. Some other brokerages don't allow some of these creative strategies. One of the exclusive things we can do here for you at Comox is if you want to make an offer, you've got a price that you're happy with paying for that property and you have to compete on the open market, we can do what's called an escalation clause. And we can discuss how that looks for you specifically so that you're being able to make strong offers on properties and be successful and get them accepted, be able to do your property due diligence so you're protected and you can still get the house and you don't have to look at 50 homes to be able to compete in this marketplace. We've got insider strategies to make sure that you can get access to the properties, you like the house, we'll get it for you to the absolute best of our abilities while keeping you safe, slowing the process down so that you can make the right decision for you and your family, especially if you're moving to Calgary and you're coming from somewhere else, so we can help you out with that, with all property types as well, including investments. And the next thing I wanted to mention, insider, tip for investors as well as home buyers is that there's a whole off-market segment of properties that are available. And I'm going to do another video that will go into more detail about this. But consider that there are foreclosed properties, there's bank sales, short sales, and divorce situations. There are condemned homes, Alberta Health Services notices. That might not be for the person who wants to move into a house and just be able to leave everything alone. But if you're looking to get a good deal on a property and buy something below market value, then the off-market property is an excellent option. And we have access to those. We advertise for them every week. We invest in that. We have wholesale networks of properties through our investor network that we developed over many years that we can give you access to properties that aren't on the market, that maybe only 4 or 5 other people are going to see, and sometimes fully exclusive listings that you can look at with no competition and be able to take your time, do your due diligence, and get your offer on the property without having to compete with the open market. So if that's something that is of interest to you, you want to look at off-market deals, we can help. Get a hold of us at the number below. My name's Tim Reed, real estate agent in the Calgary area. You buy a house with us, you'll love it, or we'll buy it back. See you in the next video.